Earlier today, Mercedes unveiled the W14 e-Performance, the car from which they plan to bring back title-winning success in 2023 in terms of the Constructors and Drivers' Championships. Now, one of the main talking points in the off-season was whether they would be keeping hold of the Zeropods for the season or kind of go along the more conventional routes that most teams have gone down, which is that of the Red Bull design. But with the unveiling, we now have confirmation that they have indeed kept hold of their unique sidepod layout, albeit with a slight alteration. There are many other changes that have taken place on the W14, most notably the engine cover with the halo mounting and the front wing, but that will be for another video. But before we move any further into the video, if you're new around here, consider subscribing to the channel, as I will be creating much more content around all the Formula 1 teams and of course the upcoming preseason tests. I plan on having videos out every hour or every 2 hours throughout those 3 days in Bahrain. Right, on with the video. In this video, we're going to be focusing in on the sidepods primarily, and with the fact that Toto Wolff earlier today during the debut of the W14 acknowledged the fact that they will be making slight alterations to their unique sidepods very early on in the 2023 season. On the matter, Toto Wolff had this to say during the launch of the W14.
I think whether you have a small sidepod or wider sidepod is not the core performance driver. I think there's other issues that we got wrong last year that we are trying to get on top of.
The sidepods will change. Not very soon, but we're looking at solutions. But it's not a core fundamental performance part as we judge. I think it's important to be bold in this sport, and I'm still proud of the solutions that were put in the car last year. Our sidepod design is not something that we believe was fundamentally the reason why we didn't perform. We're looking. There is no holy cows in our concept. It's not that we don't want to follow anyone else's ideas. We kept staying with the narrow sidepods as it is, but you could well see some development from now on that could be coming with the upgrades and the sidepods. Along with these changes, Toto Wolff also cited the difficult experience and tough lessons they learned throughout the 2022 season as well as pre-season for that year. He mentioned how they learned a tough lesson because they knew they were bringing an upgrade package for the second test, which they calculated would be worth around half a second. And in a way, they were looking at the first test and thinking, well, it's not going to be really relevant because this isn't the car we're going to be running. Then they had the, well documented issue of turning up with this new design, the Zeropods, and then them not performing as they wanted and then having a season-long battle with their car about whether they could get the porpoising issues under control, which they did and didn't do at certain points throughout the year. And so the philosophy change that they've had is they're going to be putting a complete 360 on their pre-season plans, and so they've come with the race 1 spec of the sidepods design so they can get a handle straight away, of course, that they know there's only going to be 3 days of pre-season testing, so they can't really mess around in terms of what they're doing at this test. So I think this is something that's key and important to them, that they didn't mess around. But of course, as we know, these sidepods are going to go under some form, whether it's extreme or not, in terms of a refinement throughout the first couple of races of the season. But I suppose the biggest question we have now is whether these refinements they're going to be making over the first couple of races are going to be ones revolving around their Zeropod arrangement, or whether they're going to kind of ditch it entirely and go along the lines of, say, Red Bull's or Ferrari's philosophy. Or even it could be a mixture of both. Who knows? It's going to be really hard to say. But let me know what you guys think is going to be the case. Is it going to be a complete change of philosophy and they're going to move away from their Zeropod design? And are they going to converge on somewhere in between both the Red Bull and Ferrari? Because with the launch spec car, of the W14, I can see elements of the Ferrari kind of bathtub is how I like to describe it, particularly when you look at the angles in this particular shot from earlier today when Lewis Hamilton went out to get his first taste in the W14. You can see where the halo is mounted to the car. It kind of has this bathtub shape that goes all the way along the engine cover on either side with the halo, and it's like one great big massive piece, and that's obviously there for an aerodynamic benefit. So it's not like they're, afraid or won't make any changes to their car and base other competitors' philosophies that they've seen out there and base their car designs around. They will do that. It's just what they really want to do, whether they see any long-term gains and benefits with sticking with the Zeropod, or whether in the wind tunnel and CFD, they could see even more gains from having, changed the design philosophy and gone down the route of the Ferrari bathtubs or the Red Bull/Alpine solution. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Mercedes do bring at these first 4 races of this 2023 season. Right guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, subscribe if you're new and have stayed around to the very end, and I will catch you all in another Formula 1 video later this week.